look at me. Wrong. Because with no power comes no responsibility.
Jumping right in, there's so many levels of adaptation to this. It's making my head hurt. I mean, there's the character Spider-Man. There's the character Spider-Noir. There's the film Spider-Verse. There's
making me stressed all over again.
All this to say, is that all put into consideration, or just for the sake of being able to do this, were you starting off with kind of a blank slate? And I want to start with you, Oren, but I'm wondering, in your respects too, if it was thinking about this is its own project versus here's the 5 different pieces that put Spider-Noir together before we even start the show.
It's never a total blank slate. Like, you're always starting with your references, and that was a lot of the comic book references, but at least half was the noir references. So we had a production office. Everybody's offices were just filled with pictures and filled with ideas of everything that had come before. So all the comic book references, all the Spider-Man, Raimi Spider-Man, the current Spider-Man, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Verse Spider-Man, but then also everything from Noir. So Double Indemnity, Third Man, In a Lonely Place, Night of the Hunter, up through all of the modern neo-noirs of like Chinatown, LA Comedy. So it was all knowing your references and then knowing that you could depart from them liberally, because we were going to make our own thing that was going to stand on its own.
Yeah. And did that also, the color and black and white aspect of it too, because there's another level to it. Is that the first conversation you're having with all these people present, like even in production? Or?
So the trick is you hire them first, telling them it's only going to be black and white. And then you double their workload once they're stuck and excited. Because this has never been done for a reason, because it's an enormous amount of work for everyone sitting on this stage. It was just double the work, and hopefully everyone was passionate enough, and it turned out everyone was passionate enough and excited enough to stick to it, except Rachel Tenner. Her job was the same.
Yeah. And then I also gave up on it midway through. I wasn't interested anymore.
Yeah, well, in casting, I mean, you have Nick. I'm wondering, are you building around how people play off of him, or is there the genre consideration? Who seems like they could fit into this world of noir or superhero, et cetera?
Right. I think obviously for every job, but specifically for this one, the tone was the biggest piece. And I felt like the scripts really indicated what that was going to be and how much humor was in it, and action and drama. And knowing Nick Cage was going to be Spider-Man brings a very specific tone to it, and a specific kind of, not acting per se, but you want people who are going to rise up to that level and who can, dance with him in every scene. Because what I love about him, and I've only seen 2 episodes, so I don't know how far it goes or doesn't go, but he is one of the most surprising and unpredictable actors, and I think makes choices that nobody else does. So we just want to surround him with people who can move along with that and elevate that, and he elevates them, and then tonally all fits, especially for the time period.
Yeah. And Oren, I've also heard you talk about Nick's approach to the character. Could you say what that is? I mean, I could give you a reminder, but...
well, he said a lot of things, but one of them was that it was... 70% Bogart and 30% Bugs Bunny, I think. I'm not sure if I've got the ratio right. It depended on the day. But we talked a lot about making what if you could make a Bogart movie where Bogart just happened to be Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And we worked together hand in hand with his ideas, and just building a version of this character that no one's ever seen before, and also just a version that he could really sink his teeth into and play. And it gets weirder and weirder as the show goes on, because he's more Spider than man, and he's kind of cosplaying as a human being the whole time. So it's
yeah, that was the detail that I heard, the more Spider than man, which I like the idea of him trying to figure out when the spider jumps out, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we built a set and we shot a sequence where he's watching old movies to kind of learn how to be a human being and exist in society, and it sort of informs his character as to like why he's doing a little bit of Bogart, he's doing a little bit of Edward G. Robinson, he's doing a lot of the contemporary movie stars from that day are helping him be a human being.
Yeah. This is for like Darran and the rest of you. It being in both black and white and color, what does that collaboration look like? And does it feel like you were leaning more on talking to Darran about like, well, how's this going to look on camera, especially if there's two different versions?
Yeah. We were all very lucky to start together, myself, Trayce, and Warren. So from that point of view, we could all be in sync as much as we could all the time. So it was to figure out what the black and white was going to be and what the color was going to be. And we also set up cameras in each department with the particular LUTs, so everybody knew what this red looked like in black and white and what that red looked like in color. It was very mindful, thoughtful, and it took a while until we got there. But we feel like we did, I think.
Lots of calling him and asking questions and saying, "Hey, can you come down here? I need to show you some fabric in person." So, yeah.
And I was very happy with that because it gave, from my point of view as well, to be closely collaborating with these two brilliant artists, all these brilliant artists. It was fantastic because we were just discovering everything at the same time together.
Yeah. And Tracy, what does that look like? Are you trying to optimize for black and white, or is it the other way around?
I think it kind of depends on. I really think it depends on the character and what I'm trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I also think like the fabric that we were using, or whatever sort of look I was like going for, I really wanted to make sure that it worked in both mediums, kept me up at night. So a lot of contrasting prints so that, they showed up, and colors that popped when we needed them to, but also like resonated in black and white.
Mm-hmm. Theraesa, would you say that was true of the hair, or was it kind of that character based of like, let's see what fits the character first before we have the conversation of like color versus black
definitely and white? Going with the character first, and then from there working our way with what would work in black and white and color as well. So excuse me, definitely had to make some adjustments along the way. And I think the good thing about it is like Trayce, Darran, Oren, they were there first, and so they'd figured out a lot of things color-wise, and so we could just go and use what they've already had as reference and make our adjustments from there. But I mean, doing something that's both in black and white and color, everybody had to be flexible. So what you thought would be awesome, sometimes it wasn't awesome once you saw it in the reverse, So it was interesting to see how everybody would pivot, and sometimes you had to scrap an idea and start all over again and be flexible, and I learned a lot.
And you're being humble because it's also a period show, so it's a lot of period hair and getting the actors to be comfortable in that particular hair. Yeah, so it's a lot of work.
Not everybody wants to look like their grandmother or their grandfather. But once you see it all come together with hair, makeup, costumes, and the settings behind them, then you get more into it. But if you're looking in the mirror and you see like severe finger waves, you're like, oh my God, I look like my grandfather.
Lana and Vincent, I wonder with makeup and prosthetics in particular, like, did it feel more so that you were creating something new? Because, for example, we have an idea of noir. We don't have an idea of like a noir film having a literal man made of sand in it. And so I'm wondering if it's more like the experimentation of like, we have this kind of new thing that we can do with noir.
Yeah, I thought it was a really shitty choice for this. Actually,
No.
I'm so not a superhero, type of person, and I don't know a lot about that. And in fact, I think on one of my very first calls with Oren, I said that, and he was like, "No, that's good." Like, I kind of approach everything from this very like grounded, rooted way, and I think that was the thing that I wanted to bring to this as much as possible is make it feel as though that these characters could exist in this environment. Noir and black and white 1930s, it's my favorite. So the idea that we could kind of collaborate in this way and bring that to a world that also has stuff that doesn't exist but make it feel like somehow it does was a really huge challenge, but really exciting.
Yeah. And Lana, like in your effort, were you kind of leaning into the new of it or into like, I want this to be as noir as possible?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously want it to be as noir as possible, but, like Trayce and I have done a lot of period shows together, so like real period shows are like, we got this. But then when we find out, we're like, we're doing a period show, but also we'd have done all the research, like all the 1930s, and we have all the, these are the techniques, and we're going to lean into this. And then we're like, but we're going to shoot in color as well. And we're like, okay. So everything kind of goes out the window, right? Because we're like, we can't do the kind of same shading that we couldn't use the same color tones that we would have used because it has to be able to read in both. So, I mean, definitely tried to lean in as close to the period and as close to noir, but like, it was kind of fun and like creative to be like, it's like we get to do it, but also like throw in like the modern products that we have to kind of make it look better, which maybe if they had back then, it would have looked better in black and white, but now we can make it look better in color and black and white.
Which is terrifying because I think we're just like, I think my approach was leaning heavy on you and just going, what looked good today? I kind of do everything to look as good to eye as possible and then pivot from there. It's just my general rule of thumb in everything that I do. So this, knowing that it had to kind of work in both, I think I just made choices that I felt were punchy that would work both in black and white and color. But yeah,
right.
Sometimes it
And
didn't
like
work.
when you've been on period shows that are like, we're so period accurate and everything is right and we're using the same product and the same color that were, used in that time, then to be on a show where we're like, this isn't going to work because we're doing it this way. So then we had this guy. So he would call me, then I would call him, and...
But also, when you're doing Mad Men, John Hamm's not turning into a monster.
Yeah.
Not in that way. But I wonder too, like Tracy, you had mentioned sort of like figuring out the different textures and fabrics and stuff like that. Is that true of makeup as well? Like, because there's different types of makeup.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like, again, like when we thought we were just doing a 30 show, we're like, okay, well, we're going to do like pancake and the like, the white makeup and like block everything out and everybody has to look. And then when we're like, but these people have to look normal in color as well, everything changed up so that when we're like, okay, well, if we use like a more, translucent makeup, then everybody was like, Darren's coming, he's like, why is everyone so greasy? Like, I don't know.
Which
I remember being...
Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
And I was just like, I'm going to get fired.
Very concerned about Lily's lipstick color quite a few times.
Yes, and
If you're doing lipstick in black and white, it looks one way.
Yeah.
And then, right.
I think a good example is like for wigs, like when we thought we were doing just black and white, it's like a dark wig would have a lot of, it would be like a black and white wig to the eye. But on camera, it would make the waves pop in the finger wave if it was all in black and white. But then when we figured out it was color, it was like, okay, we can't have this young woman looking like an old woman on camera with black and white hair. She's going to look like an old woman. So then we had to figure out how to pivot from there. So that's just kind of an example of color and what we would do in black and white versus in actual color.
Yeah.
We also had a day where Ben Reilly's character is in a dream and he's talking to someone who's wearing a wig, and then the wig comes off in his hand and he realizes it's like his own, it's the spider underneath. And we're like, we'll whip it off, and Theraesa was like, that's a $35,000 wig. You won't be ripping that off. Here, take this one.
We need a double wig quickly.
But
jump in.
in
real fast. Aside, well, we had to figure out, my team, I'm the production designer.
Right.
We had to figure out what colors really existed during that time, and then also what colors would look right for the characters and their costumes and their hair and makeup throughout. And that, with the testing of the colors, the FX3 that we had set up to determine what would work, it was also textures, not only discovering what colors existed then versus what we thought existed, but also then discovering what would work texture-wise, tonally, with fabrics, with wallpaper, with the paint colors we designed and the existing paint colors that we used to make sure that when our cast and when our creatures, characters stood out or were in their sets, that they looked like we wanted them to look.
It led to some extreme things on set. Like, we'd walk in and be like, Warren, are you sure this is what it's supposed to look like? You're like, yeah, just go look through the camera. And it's going to look very different in both black and white and the color we're doing. And every time it was just right.
Yeah. And I was wondering, Warren, too, like, because we're talking about balancing, like, the noir with the comic book films, I think there's an idea that, like, because this is a modern show, there's a version that's, like, CGI land. But I do think that actually watching the show, not only is it evocative of the genre, but it feels sort of like the type of set that was during like the 30s and 40s. And so was that kind of the first goal on the list, or like how are the comic book elements being incorporated?
I want it to be true to the era of filmmaking. Right. And that was the goal for all of us when we started with black and white. And then, you know, the puzzle of figuring out the color aspect. But, you know, 1933 New York, during the Great Depression, there happened to be a lot of black and white photography and also black and white sketching. So we're able to see a lot of the details of that time, and I may be getting away from your question a little bit, but there was a great deal of information to be had, and then to transfer into the idea. And I'll tell you, like Ben's office, the inspiration for that was Humphrey Bogart's office in Maltese Falcon. Down to the molding on the walls. I didn't need to do that, but it was a great point, a great starting point, you know, for the look and feel of that space.
And when you're in Ben's apartment, his tenement apartment, there are 5 layers of, maybe I'm probably understating it, so many layers of paint, and the texture of it was so real. I think it helped with the show, but it helped with the actors feel that they were in a time and place.
One thing I like to ask when I'm surrounded by artisans of this caliber is that, like, this show especially, I feel like rewards a rewatch because there's 2 different ways to watch it. But and Rachel, I can start with you. Like, is there a small detail that had like a big impact and that when we watch the episode again, you want us to look out for, whether that's the person playing like henchman number 3 or like the painting that was on the wall in this particular room, the hairstyle of this person, etc. Is there any sort of small detail that you're really happy made it into the show?
I'd like to pass. That is such a hard
Even
question.
if it's a performance to shout
I'd like
out.
to pass this to Tracy. I will give a shout out. That's probably a better one.
Yeah.
I really do love this cast, and I thought that this was a huge cast, and there were a lot of journeys with some of these roles. I think that Karen is definitely the longest, the hardest, the most fun journey, I think, for the character, because we did go through a lot of iterations of what we thought this character was. And even though she was in the first group and hundreds of people later, we went back to Karen. But anyway, we, there's a lot of things also, like you're talking about with time period and everything, we didn't want everything to sound like this and do everything like that and make it sound, we want everything to be really grounded. And she just kind of came in with such a fresh voice and face, and the way she approached it with her humor and her choices and her groundedness and her fearlessness. And so she was really so exciting to watch. She was exciting to watch at the table read, and then continued when we just saw the first 2 episodes. I really do find her exciting to watch. And I really loved having Lucas Haas in this also. Oh, yeah. He's just someone I've always loved since Witness, and I don't know, it just carried like a real soft spot for him, and I was really happy he was in this and was able to do it.
For sure.
He does a little bit with his fingers in episode 3, actually, that we found out was something he did that happened in Witness.
No. Really?
Yeah, he did the same thing again 40 years later.
That's crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Tracy, is there a costume that we should look out for that has a particularly interesting story?
Bird.
I'm sorry, what was that,
The
Oren?
bird.
We do love the bird dress. Oren particularly likes the bird dress. I think there's a couple things for me. Obviously, the spider. When I started and it was trying to like get on board with Oren about just being grounded in reality, it was supposed to be grounded in reality. It was important to me that each piece kind of had a backstory. So, I really wanted to like, the mask was a sweater, a military sweater from the 1920s that Ben had. And, he rode a motorcycle in France. And so like his pants and his vest, they're French-inspired motorcycle pieces. So I think that like that's something I would love for people to pay attention to, especially like the mask, because a lot of thought went into creating something like that so it looks like a sweater. The other thing I want to point out is the color palette. I feel like each character has its own color palette, and the only one that kind of changes a little bit would be Kat Hardy. And the reason she changes usually is that there's some sort of emotion that's being evoked. So you can kind of tell who she's thinking about or who she's in love with or what she's feeling based off of what color she's wearing. Very intentional. And we have to talk about the bird dress. It's an amazing dress. It's basically a couture dress that I found and I really wanted to remake. And I found this amazing fabric, and Oren really liked the bird, so we went with it.
Well, I should also say there was a lot of pressure early on to go to a super suit specialist that cost like $37 million to make this suit. And we just kept like, I'm pretty sure Tracy can do this. And
I did it.
And you did it.
For a lot less money.
Oh my God.
How about you, Darran?
Apart from our amazing crew, the camera, the lighting, and the grip, who actually just dived into the film noir genre so deep that they came to work every day excited about what we were doing, and I think that's a first for me on a project. But I would like to give a shout out to our colorist, Pankaj, who sadly is not here and was meant to be, but he is stuck in a session. But Pankaj was with us from
working on the show today.
Yes, he was. That's why he's not here. But Pankaj was a collaborator with all of us from day one. We were like, when we even just did a little tiny test very early on. It was a very stripped down crew. We all went into the color bay with him for hours to talk about where we should go, and then he would work away himself, and then he'd come back with like 5 different choices, and we would start honing into those choices. So he's a very special part of this process for all of us. We use the words colorist, but he's like a color scientist. He's pretty exceptional. Yeah.
And an incredibly patient man.
Yes.
Yeah. He had to do the show twice, just like all of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Back row, did anyone have anything they wanted to mention?
Most memorable. Ben's apartment was special to me. I think about that set a lot. I'm actually working with Pankaj now on my current project, which is pretty awesome. Ben's apartment, the layers, the time, what New York tenement life was like for people in 1933. Digging into the research of that, and then providing those textures and layers for the cast to sort of dig into and understand and be perhaps motivated by. And then I don't think you saw it tonight, but Kat's apartment, sort of the gilded cage, that we don't necessarily know right off is what it is, but you'll see some things in there that indicate she is a caged bird.
for sure. I was gonna ask too. Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, if we're giving shout outs, I would just say from like people that like we bounce around a lot of shows a lot of times, and it's very rare that we work for producers that allow us to be so creative and like want our opinion all the time and are like not just like, nope, this is how it goes. I want it to look this way. I want the, it was just like, no, tell me there's no step. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I heard there's no stepping on toes here, or we want you guys to work together. I mean, like, I knew this crew better than I knew any other crew of any other show I've ever worked on, because it was so encouraged for us to work together and collaborate together. And I think that's like what makes a beautiful show.
And to
is
bring all
teamwork.
ideas to the table.
Yeah.
Can I
We
curse?
all really liked each other.
Can I curse? I have this philosophy, and I share this with all of my crews. Both shit and honey flow downhill, right? This man here was the honey for all of us.
For sure.
He really was.
Oren.
Like the best there is.
Yeah,
For sure.
I think that's the best part of the whole job, was that how collaborative we all were, and the fact that we really liked each other and really respected each other. Also, like, Oren is a great showrunner because he lets you do your job. He like literally encourages you to like run free and pitch him ideas, and so it's so collaborative and like awesome. So thank you, Oren.
That's
Thank
nice.
you, Oren.
It's so much work. It's dumb not to like work hard together and have fun doing it, because it's like, exhausting.
Well, not to exhaust you further, but we do have a second panel for you all. And so first I want to thank all of you for joining us and sharing more about the production of Spider-Noir. And I think it's time to bring on the second panel.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
This was the better panel, though.
Say that again.